Subscribe Magnifying Earth and press the bell icon for latest updates. Records by Mother Nature. Part 1. This video is made with 2 parts due to its long contents. The usual candidates for this kind of list would be things like the highest mountain, or the longest river, or the biggest forest, or canyon, or other obvious stuff like that. But you probably already learned those things in school, and aren't about the obvious and instead focus on bringing you other records. The ones people rarely talk about. So let's do exactly that. Here are 10 other records owned by Mother Nature. Number 10. The deepest underwater cave in the world. Hranicka Propast. Located in the eastern part of the Czech Republic is the deepest discovered underwater cave in the world, the Hranicka Propast. The underwater cave is at least 1,325 feet deep, but nobody knows how much further down it actually goes beyond that point. But even at this depth, the Hranicka Abyss, as it is called in English, has beaten the previous record holder, the Pozzo del Mero in Italy, by 39 feet. The Hranicka Abyss's existence has been known for some time now, and the lead speleologist during this expedition, Krzysztof Starnowski, has been exploring it for the past 2 decades. The deepest dive he ever made was at 869 feet before he had to resurface and then stay for 6 hours in a decompression chamber. The hot, mineral-rich, and carbon-saturated water that makes exposed skin itch suggests that the cave extends down a great distance. When its maximum depth of 1,325 feet was recorded, Starnowski made a dive to 656 feet, to a narrow point of the cave called the Squeeze Passage, from which he launched a remotely operated underwater robot, ROV, the rest of the way. But when its cord ran out after another 670 feet, the robot still couldn't see the cave's bottom. Starnowski will undoubtedly try again, determined to get to the bottom, but he will obviously use a longer cord next time around. Number 9. The oldest river in the world. Finke River. Finke River in Central Australia is not the longest river on the continent, but it's definitely the oldest. It stretches for about 370 miles, from the McDonnell Ranges in the Northern Territories to the western edge of the Simpson Desert to the south. But even though it's one of the largest rivers in Australia, but not the longest, the Finke releases its waters onto the sand plains of South Australia and doesn't actually reach the ocean. On rare occasions with periods of floods, the Finke can turn into a raging torrent. But in normal conditions, however, the Finke, like most others in Central Australia, looks like a broad, sandy river with 9 permanent waterholes that are important sources of water for wildlife. But when heavy rains fall in the region, the Finke River can overflow and reach as far south as Makhonjwa River and then into Lake Eyre, the lowest natural point in Australia at about 49 feet below sea level. The age of the Finke River is believed to be somewhere around 300 to 400 million years. This is because the river goes through deeply incised meanders that can only form when a river flows through flat plains. But since the Finke flows through the James Range, which formed during a mountain-building event in Australia known as the Alice Springs orogeny, it means that the river was already there when the event happened more than 300 million years ago. Its second half, however, is much younger, since the southern edge of the Northern Territories and the Simpson Desert were under the sea during that time. The Finke River has had more or less the same path for more than 100 million years and followed the exact same course as it does today for 15 to 20 million years. Number 8. The oldest mountain range in the world. Makhonjwa Mountains. Also known as the Barberton Greenstone Belt, the Makhonjwa Mountains in South Africa, close to the border with Swaziland, are a 75 by 37-mile range of small mountains and hills that can trace their origins back to 3.6 billion years ago. Given their incredible age, the mountains here aren't all that tall, ranging in size from only 1,970 to about 5,900 feet. But scientists agree that by examining the remarkably well-preserved rocks found here, they can deduce and understand the planet's entire geologic history. Among these rocks, people have discovered some of the oldest signs of life on Earth, and the area has since become known as the genesis of life. The Makhonjwa Mountains are also known for their gold deposits and an unusual type of volcanic rock that can only form at very high temperatures of over 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit, 1,650 C, the highest temperatures for any volcanic rocks on the Earth's surface. The gold found here is the oldest ever created on the planet. Back in the late 1800s, alluvial gold sparked a mini gold rush in the area. Due to the steeply broken terrain, however, human habitation has always been marginal. Only after the arrival of the European colonists did the area begin to see more permanent settlements, thanks in large part to the gold found there. But this gold rush was not to last, being quickly overshadowed not long after it started by the finds at the Witwatersrand Ridge near the city of Pretoria in 1886. Number 7. The heaviest and longest living organism. Aspen trees. Back in 1976, some scientists from the University of Colorado estimated that there were some 47,000 individual quaking aspen trees in Utah's Fish Lake National Forest. The entire group of aspens, called a stand, covers an area of roughly 100 acres and has been identified in 2008 to actually be the exact same genetic tree that has cloned itself countless times over the years. The average lifespan of an aspen tree is around 100 to 150 years, and from their roots sprout other, genetically identical stems every several feet or so. The pando stand, as it is called, is estimated to weigh in at around 6,615 metric tons, or about 13 million pounds. It also isn't the only such aspen stand in the world, or even the United States, but it is without a doubt the largest. And according to its size and the duration it takes each individual to sprout and grow, scientists have estimated the pando stand to be anywhere in between 80,000 and 1 million years old. Determining the age of one such aspen stand is difficult at best, since it's taking into account many other complex factors like climatic and biological shifts over many years. For instance, aspen trees also multiply by making use of seeds. But ever since the last ice age some 10,000 years ago, it's believed that the pando stand has never been able to flower because of the shifting climate. Aspens in New England, on the other hand, do so regularly. Today, there is another element that threatens the existence of this constantly cloning organism. Large and medium-sized herbivores seek out these aspen sprouts, and over the past century many of the young stems have been eaten by deer, elk, sheep, and cattle. The average age of the current trees in the stand is about 130 years, and fences have been put in place in order to keep animals out. Hopefully this will be enough. Number 6. The largest rocks in the world. Uluru. You probably never gave much thought to the biggest rock on Earth, but there are some massive ones out there. One of them is located in Australia, about 208 miles from Alice Springs in the southern part of the Northern Territories. Its Aboriginal name is Uluru, but it's also known as Ayers Rock. Uluru is a sacred site to the Aboriginal people living in the area, and it's also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The large sandstone monolith is one of Australia's best-known landmarks, towering some 1,142 feet above the surrounding land and 2,831 feet above sea level. It has a total circumference of 5.8 miles, extends into the ground to a depth of 1.5 miles, and came into existence some 600 million years ago when it lay at the bottom of the ocean. Uluru is one part of a trio of somewhat similar rock monoliths that were once all part of the same sandstone formation.
The others are Mount Connor and Carterchita.